being worshiped properly, studied consistently, and understood fully. And he wants us to do that. Unlike every other false prophet who wants to hide something from us, God doesn't want to keep anything from us. I said that you should not be confused, that you should not misunderstand. I want you to know me, taste me, try me, test me to see if I am not the true God. This is what God says. And every other cult leader and every other politician and every other philosopher and philanderer and will say exactly the opposite. So this year, New Bethel and all of God's churches should be attempting to make it plain about the God that we serve and why we do what we do. Not to be done in the shadows, not to be done on certain broadcasts at certain times or certain prescription type of things, not to be done anything like that, to be done out in the open. Go ye therefore to all. All. Never mind who they say they are. Never mind what they say they're doing. Go to all and proclaim. Well, what are you proclaiming, Pastor? Well, that God gave me a new car? No. That Jesus Christ is Lord. And he's going to come back for a church without a spot or a blemish, which is why he has not come back yet. Because we so spotted and we so blemished, you'd have thought we was a broken-legged leopard. Anyway.
He's preaching. That's good stuff.
That's a new one for me. A broke leg leopard. Awesome. Okay.
That's better than a dog-faced pony soldier.
I pay my writers well on Wednesday morning.
I see.
They get overtime and double, and they get bonuses for things like that. So. And obviously, we want to give a shout out to Boston's best engineer who's on the board right now, looking at his phone, playing Galaga. He doesn't think we know it, but we can see he's playing Galaga. Okay, he's got us live. Okay, so in the first hour, we set up the questions. Was Dr. Martin Luther King the last American prophet? We answered that one. Was Dr. Martin Luther King, in fact, a prophet? We haven't answered that one yet. And what is the biblical definition of a prophet? And I think we've pretty much answered that one.
Yeah.
So the only thing that
Okay, so let's consider his life.
Okay.
Let's take a look at it. Prior to Dr. King, let me just set a little stage here. My father fought in World War II. He was in the Pacific Theater, honorably discharged with several medals to go along with that. He came back to this country, a grown man who served and at any time he could be lynched. At any moment, our home could have been burned. At any moment, he could have or would have been forced to step off of a sidewalk to let someone of another race pass by. Because of the efforts of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., I now have the same rights and privileges as other Americans. Something that, and I'm proud to say that my dad went to Washington, D.C. during the the march, and he built shelters for those who were there for the protest.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Cool. I like him more and more every time you talk about him.
He was a special man. Okay. He was a part of what we would call the silent generation.
You might want to explain that to some people.
Well,
The silent generation basically didn't talk about it; they did it.
yeah.
And that's why they were called the silent generation or the silent majority.
Yeah. I'm a baby boomer. So I'm somewhat between that period where segregation was coming to an end, and during the 70s, when we really expressed our freedom. I had part of that time of segregated schools and integrated schools. Living here in Boston during the 70s, going through the forced busing, I remember what that was like. I remember segregated lunch counters. I remember our travels. My mother and my sister would fry chicken, make potato salad, have a whole meal in the car because they knew on a long trip we needed to eat, and certain restaurants were not afforded to us.
None of the restaurants, for the most part, on the main
Okay.
highways were afforded to people of color.
And-
None of them.
And certainly not the hotels.
Right. You would have to leave the highway system to go into town to find the quote unquote black section of town, to find any type of
And most times would have to stay with someone's family. overnight.
and most of the time, some family somewhere would open their doors to you.
Yeah.
And this is the legacy of every hotel chain in America today. No matter what they're talking about, no matter how they look, every hotel chain in America today comes out of this legacy.
So when I consider the privileges and rights that I'm afforded today, I directly refer it back to the life and times of Dr. King. For all of his shortcomings, for all of his missteps, for all of the mistakes that he may have made in his life, and even during the time of the Civil Rights Movement, I'm the product of that. And I'm grateful. I'm forever grateful.
So, was he a prophet?
Yes.
I agree. He was.
Okay, we're still waiting on the.
Yeah.
We're still waiting on an answer from the voice crying in Texas.
I don't think he's any more of a prophet than any of us.
That's not the question. That's not the question.
What was the question?
Was he a prophet?
No.
Okay.
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 And you know, I have to back it up.
Yes, you do.
There are thousands, and you of all people know that being a pastor, for the most part, is a thankless, difficult job that does not make you rich. You would count your blessings if it would just support your basic needs. Most pastors are out there doing that kind of work. A few of them have figured out how to make a living at it, and even fewer have figured out how to get infinitely wealthy. But the lion's share of pastoral work, these are people who should be getting Nobel Peace Prizes for the work they do, and that includes you. To put your heart and soul into that, why aren't we saying that you're a prophet?
Profit
You know
has
what I'm
nothing
saying?
to do with your finances.
Well, I know. I'm just trying to say, I'm not trying to take away anything that Dr. Martin Luther King did, because he certainly made a huge impact, and if for nothing else, he got the world thinking. And I'm just thinking about the I Have a Dream speech. I mean, that was just a masterpiece that brought everybody to a place of conviction.
Was it not a prophetic message?
Say that again?
Was not the I Have a Dream speech a prophetic message?
Nope. It was a fantastic speech, but I do not consider it to be prophetic.
Why not?
What's prophetic about it? You defend it.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Uh-huh.
I'm not going to defend it. Okay, well, let's put it this way. The question was, was it prophetic? Was it prophetic? And we already described what a prophet is: someone who explains the past in reference to the future with an eye to the present. I'm sorry. I said it backwards. The past with an eye to the present in reference. Oh my goodness! I hate this. We get it.
We get it.
Yeah. Past, present, and future. He talks about it and he gets it right, based on God.
Yeah, and there are tens of thousands of pastors out there who do that every Sunday.
He was
That's
also a
my
pastor.
point.
He was the pastor of Ebenezer Baptist Church.
Yep.
And a preacher of the gospel.
Yep.
So
Yep.
would you not
So what
say
makes
that
him a-
based on that,
what-
that he would be a prophet?
Nope.
Okay. Moving on.
Trying to be unambiguous about it.
No.
I think he was a great man. I really do.
Okay.
Digging deep into his ideology, I disagree. I'm not a Marxist. Going deep into that, you're getting into atheism. And that's at the root of. That's a critical part of Marxism. But sticking to the surface, I think he's a great man. I do not think that made him a prophet.
Okay, a few hours before he was assassinated, he stood before a congregation of people and he declared these words. He said that,
Like anyone,
I'd like to have a long life.
long life has its place. Longevity has its place.
He said, but
Yeah.
I may not get there with you, but we as a people will get to the promised land. A few hours later, on the balcony of the Lorraine Motel, he's gunned down and assassinated. Was that not prophetic?
That's
Let's remember that Jonah gave one prophecy to Nineveh.
yeah. Is it possibly a prophetic statement? Yeah. Is it a coincidence? Could be. I'm just saying. I don't think that the prophetic definition. I think if he were in a court of law being charged with being a prophet, I think he'd beat the rap.
That opens up a whole other can of worms, because if we're hauled before a judge accused of being a Christian, would there be enough evidence to convict us?
Right. But we're talking about a special forces type of Christian that is probably one of the highest callings someone can have on their life.
Prophecy?
Prophecy.
I now here's where I get into trouble. I completely disagree. I think it's the lowest calling.
Agreed.
Because
Well,
all you have, here's why.
see.
All you have to be is called by God for a particular period of time, for a particular point, to do one particular thing concerning what God wants done, and you're a prophet. Your past, your present, your future is not based on what's going on here. We have a caller? Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Peace. Good morning. This is Brother Jamal.
Good morning.
How you doing? I just happened to tune in.
It was only a matter of time. It was 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, Jamal.
Big thanks. Big thanks. So, fun fact, my rap name is and has been since the 80s Uno the Prophet. And first it was Uno, what have you. The prophet part came in part because being around a lot of my friends and, talking conscious stuff and da-da-da-da, they're like, man, you a prophet or something? And it basically stuck. But the one thing that I resonated with that is, and first of all, too, obviously there are prophets of, Christianity does not have the cornered the market on prophets. You know what I mean? Obviously, in Islam, Muhammad is the prophet of Allah. You know what I mean? These type of things. So, for me, the thing that I found interesting, particularly with the biblical prophets, is that all of them were imperfect. Some of them, with some serious issues, right? And most of them were also reluctant. So, for instance, we know Jonah did not want to go to Nineveh. He tried to do everything he could do to avoid it.
And he just
and dodge God, but that didn't work out too well. So I think for me at least, a lot of this resonates also too into like activism and advocacy, where people might not see an issue or a problem, and you might see it, and you might also see that this problem is growing, and in 5-10 years this is going to be even bigger and more difficult to extricate yourself out of. So you begin talking about it. But one thing that happens though too is a lot of it's not fun. Prophets, what's the famous verse? A prophet is not accepted in his own homeland, right? So it also comes with a mantle of scorn, shunning, and being able to speak the truth, which is often unpopular, against powers that be and systems and this type of thing. So that's kind of like my assessment of it, and particularly like in a modern context. The job of a prophet is never done and it's rarely fun.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I think we should.
I think
we got to pass the hat.
I'm ready to go now.
Yeah, I think we're done. Put on some music. Drop the mic. Absolutely, 100% correct. Mm-hmm. And you weren't part of the first hour. And if you
summed it up so nicely.
When you listen to the first hour, you were going to hear why we're all marveling.
Yeah.
So now, would it be wrong to call Jamal a prophet? Never mind what he called himself. Would it
by the biblical definition that I, shared earlier? Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think every single one of us could have that title.
At some point in our life, we are all prophets. The Bible admonishes us to be constant prophets, to be constantly in tune with God, listening to what he has to say to us, so what we know to say to other people.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what. Go ahead, Jamal.
I was going to say, obviously, like even for myself, because I might be a prophet in some of those secular areas, but it's not like whatever I do is not coming from. I'm not going to a new city and telling them, yo, y'all better get right or the wrath of God is upon you. You know what I mean? That's not my thing. And I'm very careful and cautious, which is, when I took it as a quote-unquote artistic moniker, I just want to make sure that folks don't, like some of my Muslim brothers was like, yo, you really declaring yourself a prophet? No, relax. Because of course, the admonition in the Bible is, beware of false prophets.
Right.
You know what I mean? So there's a lot of that out there too. People who are acting as if they are leaders, prophets, what have you. And then some of this too can even get into, dare I say, the witchcraft and the soothsaying. And, I'm going to give you my predictions for 2026. And, so it's a very slippery slope.
Well, how about the people who have the seminars and sell out these arenas where people go to pay money to have this person on stage walk around and point out to them stuff that they already know?
Disgusting.
Or just
which is done at carnivals and everything else.
Or just quote a scripture to them. The carnies of old have nothing on these people. The barkers that stood out in front of the bars on the boardwalk and down and during Mardi Gras saying, live naked girls, come in. They have nothing on the horrendous nature of all of these people out there who are prostituting God. Dare I say it?
I need a $65 million jet. And God told me I could have it.
Yeah.
And you need to give me your money for it.
Yeah, that's good. And you're going to fly your $65 million jet straight to hell. Like you said, there'll be a special place. So we have to be very mindful and understand something. Yes, I have spoken prophecy. Yes, God has allowed me to see things that I would not normally see or even want to see in some situations. The easiest one was a friend. I was setting up a sound system down at the Carver Lodge, and it was going to be an outside event. So we had all of our speakers and stuff, setting them up out there. And a lady drove by in her car, and I heard her engine. And I stopped what I was doing. I went over and I asked her. I said, "Excuse me, do you have a good mechanic?" And why? I just love how we greet each other. I said, "Excuse me, I don't mean to be rude, but do you have a good mechanic?" Why? Who are you? And I said, "Well, I'm sorry to tell you that your engine is about to blow." And she was like, "Are you a mechanic?" I said, No, I'm not a mechanic, but you really should, look into getting another car, soon, very quickly. Okay, thank you. Mm-hmm. So I went back to what I was doing, and my friend came over, Steve came over.
Okay.
And said, "What did you say to that lady?" And I said, I told her what I'd said, and she came over to me, "What's wrong with your boy?" Not even your man. "What's wrong? What's up with your boy?" He said, "Well, what did he say to you?" He said, "My engine's about to blow." He said, "Dan said that?" She said, "Yeah." He said, "Your engine's about to blow."
Yeah. It's about to blow.
Okay. It didn't last a week. Okay.
Yeah.
Dan said that? Yeah, your engine's about to blow. It is what it is.
So now the question is this: was that a prophecy or was that a word of knowledge?
Good question.
Ooh.
Good question. Because, see, for me, it's a word of knowledge because I hear what I hear and I associate with what I already know.
Bingo.
Okay? It's a word of knowledge. Yeah. And words of knowledge are gifts from God.
Born out of experience and education.
Yeah.
Okay? Oftentimes in the church world, we get the two mixed up. A word of knowledge versus a prophetic word.
So let me ask you this then. Hold that thought. In church, probably a year into my pastorate, everybody's staring at me. Nobody's listening to me. They're still trying to figure out who I am and why I'm there and how I got to be pastor. A lady came to the church for the first time. Never saw her before. Blah blah blah. As she was leaving, I said, "Excuse me, ma'am. I don't know. We've never met. I don't know who you are. But God told me to tell you that you are an evangelist and you need to stop equivocating and go ahead and become the evangelist He's called you to be." Mm-hmm. And half the church heard me say that, and she broke down into tears. Mm-hmm. And her friend who had brought her said, "He doesn't," she was like, and the lady confessed. She said, "I've been on my knees. I've been fighting God." Everything he said was exactly the case. Mm-hmm. Was that a prophecy or a word of knowledge? Never met her before in my life, never saw her, didn't talk to her, nothing. Was that prophecy or a word of knowledge?
Okay. What do you think I'm going to say?
That's why we're all waiting with bated breath to hear what you're going to say.
That's prophetic.
Yeah.
Okay. And the thing about prophecy is this: it confirms many times what we already know, while at the same time speaks to future events. Okay.
We already know what or what the person already knows.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Because she confirmed everything I said, which brought her to tears.
Absolutely.
And had people staring at me.
What happened to Nineveh after Jonah's prophetic word to them?
Yeah, they repented.
Brought them to tears, and they repented.
And the king said, "Oops, hold it, yep. Sackcloth, all of us.
Yeah,
whatever you're doing, stop it."
So, we look at many preachers today as some kind of clown, because they've for many of them they've fallen into the same pattern of this false prophetic word. It's always got to have a certain number of days, and it always involves some money, and what you should pay them for that so-called prophetic word.
No prophecy I've ever been able to offer anybody involved a date, a time, or a dollar figure.
You know why?
Because it's from God.
There you go. There you go.
It's from God. And what scares me is that when people hear that, they still question you.
Mm-hmm. Let's take a look at Jesus just for a moment. We call his great Sermon on the Mount, we call it a sermon.
Right.
When in fact it is prophetic.
Right.
It is his prophecy from the Mount.
Interesting. I had not considered that.
And you know what he did after he got through with that prophetic word from the Mount? He fed them. He didn't take from them.
How about that? Because the disciples wanted to send the people away because there were so many. And Jesus said, "No, we're not doing that.
No, we can't do that.
Yeah.
They've been with us all day."
Yeah.
And then he takes 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread from a young man and feeds everyone, and then takes up 12 baskets of the fragments.
Right. Which is given to the poor, by the way. People don't understand the culture.
Why? Why is it that preachers today, in order for them to give a word or to give a message or give a prophecy, have to be paid for it? And then they turn around and the prophecy itself is a lie.
Well, I recall, and this is interesting because there's a couple of, when I was doing all my outside ministry, which I hope to start again this summer because I feel like I've been getting dry. I feel like my street preacher cred is being challenged. I don't have much. I haven't been out there on the street corners lately.
Take it to the streets.
I got to take it back to the streets and do what we do. So that's coming. You should be aware that's coming. We're going back to the streets. Pastor Wall, we're going back to the streets. Boston Praise Radio is going to the streets. We'll talk about it. He's looking at me like, "Oh, this is good for you.
This is going to be fun.
This is going to be fun. You're planning." And his back has been turned yet again.
Yeah.
Talk to the hand because nothing else is listening. The idea that when you have a real prophet from God, when you have a real pastor, the reason people like Brother Jamal rightly and properly question what goes on in today's churches is because of nonsense like this. Okay? I wanted to bring Ravi Zachariah to Boston because I liked his ministry. I liked what he talked about. I didn't know anything about his backyard stuff, but I wanted to bring him to Boston. He required a 5-star hotel for him, his 3-star or better for his entourage, a 24-hour car on duty, not a car, but a car, Lincoln Town car, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Couldn't be a Hyundai Civic or couldn't be a Ford.
He can't be seen in that.
Ford Escort. And one of the smartest apologetic people we know in today's history was him. Whether you like him or not, whether you understand who he was and what he did or not is not relevant. This man had a very good grasp of the Bible from his point of view, and he was very good about apologetics. But how can anybody afford all that? So as it turned out, I couldn't afford any of that to do it. But a big college did, and I couldn't even get in because
Sadly,
of the tickets.
when people first answer a call, their hearts can be in the right place and get out there, and then they see the opportunity for corruption. This is the same thing that goes on in Washington D.C. They get in there, all geared up and ready to go and save the world, and then they get tempted with the money.
Jimmy Carter said that Washington swallowed him whole.
Yeah.
And didn't even burp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But look what
That
he
would be
did post his presidency.
Yeah. He basically, the presidency for him was a stepping stool for him to do the work of God.
Okay. Habitat for Humanities is an incredible organization.
And still building houses.
Still.
Okay? And this is the thing. So when Brother Jamal says, I have issues with the modern day church, that's because he's a thinking, feeling human being.
I got problems with the modern day church. I'm right along with him.
Okay? Jamal, you want to comment?
Yeah, have y'all seen the latest little thing? There's a comedian YouTube thing, young brother, Drewski.
Nope.
Okay,
But of course I will when I leave you, but yeah.
Yeah. So this kid Drewski, he's been making a name for himself for quite some years, and he's wanted this new YouTube because he's making millions off of YouTube. Selling out stadiums, the whole thing. And he does these skits and da-da-da-da. So one of his, let me tell you the previous skit. One of his previous skits was he dressed up in complete white face and, had a wig on and a cowboy hat and was acting as, a right-wing conservative type of country boy, and he went to like a NASCAR race. And nobody was the wiser, right? And after they found out that, he was playing a role, then certain people were outraged. Wow, how dare you make fun of basically, like, I guess they called it the redneck community, right? But okay, so now in this skit, he is dressed up as one of these megachurch pastors. He's lowered down from some cables and coming down, and he says, you know the shoes, the Louboutins with the red bottoms?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was like, people asking me, why I wear Louboutins? Because I'm walking in the blood of Christ. So, he took a very comedic thing, but a lot of people were and are outraged. Like, you're mocking the church, you're mocking God, right? But to me, what he was really making a mockery of, much like Richard Pryor did in Car Wash all those years ago, was making fun of the preachers who are so caught up in this materialism and money. And, you know, you can't make the joke if it's in fact not true. The joke wouldn't have worked if there are no preachers like that.
Right.
That's right.
You know, but the fact that it exists, and, you know, we know every Creflo Dollar, I seen him dancing on Money with Frederick Price, you know, who I used to like and thought was a man of integrity, but in his later years, he too succumbed. Yeah. And, you know, as we know, money is a vicious temptation and whatnot, but there has to be some sort of point with just, you know, the way some of these people are, to me, even dressing. You know, you know, I don't know if you're a preacher or a rapper or, you know, a pimp or an R&B singer. You know, there just seems to be like no decorum, no rules. And one of my biggest problems with the black church has always been, you know, look, if you have a Catholic school in Guam or a convent in the hills of the Swiss Alps, you all answer to Rome. Okay? And if somebody slips and falls on one of your congregations, you know, it's all up under that Vatican thing. They got one, you know, administrative body. But with the black church, you know, as you said, 12th Baptist Church ain't even associated with First Baptist Church, right? And all the varying denominations of the AMEs. The AMEs have, you know, kind of a general council and whatnot, but then the COGIC, and you know all the different denominations and whatnot. So there's really no overall body that can say, hey, can you knock it off with the shenanigans over here? You know, it's not a good look for us, you know, in all. And, I mean, we just talking about the money and the materialism, let alone we start getting into the sexual abuse and deviancy. You know, the Eddie Longs, the now, you know, accusations around the Bishop T.D. Jakes, and, you know, so on and so forth.
Another one bites the dust with Donnie McClurkin.
Donnie McClurkin, yeah, it's a mess, and things like this have not even occurred. Avenue. So how are the streets more safe than the church?
Let me say this to you. Anytime that money and a contract comes into play, it is no longer working for God. It is working for self-aggrandizement.
Yeah, I had somebody who called me and wanted to use the sanctuary for some sort of a celebration, and said, you know, that he would pay the church, or he would give the church out of the ticket proceeds. And I texted this person back, the House of God does not have a ticket counter. Period. And he said, oh, well, I'll go to a hotel. And I said, have a great time. Are you going to be there? No.
What about a bookstore?
Go someplace. But you can have it at the church, but no tickets. I'm sorry.
Do you know what I didn't see in church growing up? We had Sunday school, but we didn't have children's church.
You didn't see children's church while growing up?
When church started, the children sat next to their parents.
But wait a second. Now the children are unruly. They're not paying attention. Let's take them upstairs and have them draw pictures of Jesus and cartoons and books and all this stuff. What do you mean the church kids sat next to you? What are you trying to do?
There were mothers in the church.
No, wait, stop. What do you mean mothers in the church with their kids? Don't you know that woman is tired? She has to work 2 jobs. She's raising the kids all by herself, and you want her to sit up in the church next to her kids?
No.
What is wrong with you?
No. She brought them with her to church. She brought them with her.
Okay, now look.
They were well-mannered in church because they knew that the church was a sacred and sanctified place.
You mean they weren't all up under the altar table playing and running and screaming and jumping and running around with the little cars and the whole bit in the sanctuary?
Unless they wanted to get their tail tore up.
Oh, you mean, are you trying to say that the parents disciplined that back then? And that what are you getting at here?
You can call it discipline if you want to. You can call it that.
That's a nice way of putting it. I've told my children if they don't want to sit and listen about Jesus, they gonna meet him.
I had an experience as a young man coming up. My father was preaching at a church here in Boston, and it was during the years where the Duncan yo-yos were really popular, and I had one with the light in it.
You were really cocking a walk with that.
Oh, that particular evening, I was sitting in a corner, I thought, where I couldn't be seen, not paying attention that the light was bright.
Yeah, we ignore these things when we're kids.
Yeah. And I was walking the dog and rocking the cradle, and my dad was preaching. And he never stopped preaching. He didn't miss a beat. He walked down, slid his belt off, smacked me on my leg with it, slipped it right back into his belt loops, and kept on preaching and went back to the pulpit.
Yeah. And for those of you who are wondering, tune in later on in life. I am at the soundboard. Bishop Hanby is up preaching. His son is in the front seat cutting a fool. And without a word, this was back when, because he didn't have wireless mics before he met me. But after he met me, he had a wireless mic. And he pulled his belt off and went down and whap! And wrapped the belt around his neck and kept on preaching, never missed a beat.
I learned from the best.
And you learned from the best. Like father, like son.
That's right.
And your son,
As it should be.
and he didn't cry, he didn't whimper, he didn't cut a fool. He just, that was pretty much the only sound I heard from him that entire service.
That's all that was needed.
So, well, what we have to get back to is a church where Brother Jamal not only comes and not only is able to worship, but he can talk, he can speak to it, he can tout it, and we're out there. We are out there doing it every Sunday without TV cameras, without this and without that. You know, someone said, Dan, you got to stop broadcasting your services because your worship services are horrible. The people don't know the songs. They can't sing properly. It's not a good look for the church. And I said, you think you can fix it? Well, show up on Sunday morning and fix it. I don't know how to lead a choir. I know how to make a choir sound good, but I don't know how to lead it. And I know that worship is necessary, and I hated that. You know yourself, I would kind of come in at the last minute just to hear the word. I didn't want nothing to do with the singing, with the testimony. No, I just wanted the word. The word, the word, the word. That's all I wanted. But then I realized now the word is important, but the worship is far more important.
The worship is the language of God.
Well, yeah. Duh.
Here's where the modern church has gone awry. It seems like everybody now wants to have a praise and worship team. Only problem with the praise and worship team is that a vast majority of them aren't even saved. So how can you usher in the presence of God when you really don't know who he is?
How can you usher in the presence of God when after your quote unquote worship, you're packed up headed to the next church?
Next church.
Or you go back and sit in the green room till the next service.
Yeah. Next church, next club, next
whatever.
The temple singers were Levites, and their whole life was involved with praise and worship of God. They didn't take it anywhere else.
And guess what? Of all the 12 tribes, I know everybody's, if I get this wrong, y'all going to jump on me. The Levites did not get a share of the monies. They were not paid in any way, shape, or form for their temple practice. Did I get that right? They got the food.
They received of the tithing that was brought there for their life living.
They weren't,
they got enough to live on because it specifically says that their portion of the land, of all the things that God gave to the tribes, their portion was God himself.
Yes.
Right.
Now, because of that, they had food and homes and livelihoods and things like that. They could live and thrive in that, but their portion was God.
They didn't get
And
rich
so
off
they
of it.
were not paid abundantly, but hey, if they had a need, their needs were met.
Yes.
Exactly. Now, Brother Jamal,
Yes.
Martin Luther King, was he a prophet?
I'm gonna say no on that one. I believe that.
Dan, you have a brother.
Yes, I do.
Okay, continue.
I'm beaming with pride, Jamal. I'm sitting here in my truck. I'm just glowing. Go ahead.
I mean, but nor would I say that Malcolm X was a prophet. Or even to go deeper, let's say Marcus Garvey, whose statements kind of ushered in the Rastafarian movement when Marcus Garvey said, "Look to Africa, there will be a king crowned," right? And that was, of course, Emperor Haile Selassie from Ethiopia,
right?
Who had the actual, and who's actually, in fact, Jesus' cousin, right? But he was crowned with those names: King of Kings, Lord of Lords, Conquering Lion of the tribe of Judah, and that is, a lot of the basis of the Rastafarian faith. But Marcus Garvey is the one who said years before, "Look to Africa, there will be crowned a king." So, I don't even know if I consider that prophetic. Now, there's also things like, okay, I could tell you right now, things are going to get worse in America. You know what I mean? These are things that are, one day there's going to be a great calamity and an end. Because one day it's going to be true. One day.
Well, the Bible's already said that that's what's going to happen. The Bible has already said in the book of Revelations that there is going to be wars and rumors of wars. And actually, that's not in Revelations, but it's wars and rumors of wars. And that there's going to be a great calamity. There's going to be a period of time when famine and pestilence and all of these things are going to be happening. So go ahead. Every
age thinks that this is the last days.
And they're right.
They thought it was the last days in the Bible times. When I was coming up in the church with Pastor Wall and them, at the time, the Winans were super popular. They had just kind of bust out, right? And they had a song, I forget the doggone name of the song now, but the part where they was like, "And Russia's already invaded Afghanistan, is falling in place." Everybody was looking at the time, even back to Rasta, the reggae thing is we're talking about, here comes the eagle, here comes the bear. We thought it was World War III and Russia was the big enemy and, everything. We didn't think we would make it maybe even this far, right? So all of these things, the wars and the rumors of wars and our own mindset, I guess the next new thing is either an asteroid is going to hit us or the aliens are going to reveal themselves. You know what I mean? So it's very difficult for me to discern who is a prophet and who is not, because I've seen everything, too, from trickery. There's people who can shake your hand, not know nothing about you, but through their trickery, they'll tell you everything about your life, called mentalists or whatever they are. And these are basically parlor tricks. But it's very, to me, it's very tough, and I would not want to call anybody a particular prophet or this or that. I would be very cautious with that.
Okay. That's a
Bravo.
reasoned. Yeah, Dan, this is what you should have said last hour.
I was waiting for Jamal.
Oh, okay.
He was gonna call.
I
knew he was going to call. I didn't want to, puff myself up by being a speaking prophetic words here, but I
There
think
will be a
Jamal was gonna
handsome,
call.
there will be a handsome light-skinned black male who will call in.
And he's going to support my positions. He and I are on the same page.
That's right.
Here's the thing.
We got 3 minutes. We got 3 minutes. Go
Here's
ahead,
the thing
Bishop.
about biblical prophecy, okay? Much of it with us is unclear.
Right.
So we continue to proclaim what Jesus proclaimed. We continue to proclaim what the apostles proclaimed. We are living in the last days. And whether it's today or tomorrow, I don't know. I really don't care. The only thing I do care about is that I know who Jesus is.
Right. And when I get asked, why should I let you in? I don't point to myself. I point to Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Because nothing I've done allows me to claim heaven. But everything that Jesus has done guarantees me heaven if I trust and believe in him. So why would I stand before God with I, me, and my when it's actually he, him, and his? What we doing for time over there, engineer? 2 minutes? No, 1 minute. Okay. We'll see what we're going to be doing next week. But Brother Jamal, I want you to be on guard, be on notice. In the month of February, we are going to be dealing with race relations in America, starting with race relations in the church. And I'm pretty sure you'll have a few things to say concerning that. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I hope everybody gets rid of those stained glasses and all them the white Jesus and the white angels.
Oh, and Jesus looking like Keanu Reeves or Johnny Depp. I'm sick of that one.
What do they call him? Buddy Christ?
Yeah, I'm sick of that one. I like Johnny Depp. I like Keanu Reeves, but not as my Jesus. I'm sorry, you don't. And Jim Caviezel, great actor, but come on, man.
Or Tab Hunter.